very familiar. And what's it like to be back and be among the British fans again?
It's nice to be doing this again. You know, I missed it for the past year, and it was great getting to come back over in September and obviously play in front of you guys and do what we do for a living. But you know, more so than football, I really enjoy these fan events. So thank you all for coming out. We're happy to be here, and let's have a good night.
We'll talk a little bit about the international series later. Obviously, 3 games this year, potential news of a 4-game slate in 2015. But just your initial memories of that, John, how special it was to be out there at Wembley Stadium.
You know, it was great. Wembley was amazing, but we came over really early in the week. So we actually stayed out at a place called the Grove, which is right outside Watford. We were there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We came down to the city, stayed at Grosvenor House, right next to Hyde Park. I got engaged on Saturday before the game. My fiance. Obviously, we went out and the experience coming onto the field. You know, everybody was saying we have some guys who have played the Super Bowl, not with the Vikings, but who have played with other teams. They said that the atmosphere at Wembley was comparable to or exceeded any Super Bowl they had been in. So it was a special time, and it's a memory and a weekend that I'll cherish forever.
Jonathan, you've been to the UK before, or
It's the very first time.
Against the Cowboy now.
Right about the system. But we've seen it with the Raiders taking players like Darius Hayward-Bay, who had a blazing 40 time, but then didn't turn out to be a complete receiver. And you see, last week Teddy Bridgewater had his pro day at Louisville, and it wasn't a great pro day. It was almost like, well, he threw 2,500 passes in college. Surely it's a balancing act, isn't it? But how frustrating is it when you hear people talking positive or negative? Because you'll probably think, well, that ultimately affects what goes into your bank, what goes on the food on your table, and these are coming from people often outside of the sport.
Well, you know, it's a drawn-out process. You know, leaving the combine and then getting ready for the draft. And the guys this year actually have a longer process because the draft is moved to May this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure those guys, a lot of things are going through their head, wondering where they're going to be picked or what city, what team they're going to be at. And, you know, it's just a drawn-out process, and you're just ready for it to be over with. You know, you're just ready to get to your team, get to know your new teammates and interact with them and get ready for the season.
So the first round of the draft is live on Sky Sports Thursday, May the 8th, so you can check that out. We'll see how all these guys who've been going through the combine do. We can do everyone. Like 32 different teams.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming to talk to us. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I guess this question is probably quite predictable, but if you were drafted for a team that was in London, or if the team that you played for was moved to London, how would you and your families feel about that? And you know, is it something that you think that your teammates would get behind as well?
Well, I mean, you know, we played because we love the game. You know, the NFL is going to be global. You know, seems like everybody's starting to love American football, and you know, we don't have no say-so of where can we go or what we do. I mean, we love to play the game, and you know, we're going to go wherever the opportunity is.
Yeah, no, I'd be incredibly excited. I love Minnesota. I love our fan base there, but you know, I'm interested to see where this sport's headed. And obviously, it appears that we're gonna branch out outside of the United States, which is the logical next step. And you know, being on the forefront of that, getting to be on an inaugural team here in the UK, it will be an incredible experience. Plus, you know, I told Neil after last year's fan forum, anytime you need somebody back in the UK for any of these, just call me up. I'll drop whatever I'm doing. We'll see where his career goes. I think he's got the opportunity to be a very successful NFL quarterback. He's obviously dynamic. Got a little bit of a Russell Wilson type feel to him, except probably a better runner when he breaks the line of scrimmage. So we'll see.
A little bit compared to Fran Tarkenton, a Vikings great as well.
Yeah, I mean he's a pick. He's an option for both. I mean, you guys have Matt Ryan. You're not picking him.
Right, yeah. No.
But you know we're picking at 8, so we'll see what happens. He'll probably be gone by then, but we'll see.
You want Teddy at 8?
Let's take another one. Let's have gentleman in the Vikings jersey right there. Wait for that mic. Wait, there you go.
I'd just like to say thanks for coming back, John, and I'd just like to ask if you're Mr. Metronome, you can say no.
You know, I actually loved the Metrodome. Our locker room was horrible. I don't know if you ever saw pictures of it. It was the worst in sports. It was worse than most.
Jonathan's agreeing.
It was worse than most college visiting locker rooms. It was bad. But our fans would get very excited there. It was loud. You played probably
very loud.
Very loud stadium. You know, and obviously, I don't think anybody's particularly looking forward to playing outside at TCF this year, late in the season. But you know, we'll make it work. It'll be home field advantage. We intend on going out there and defending our turf. And you know, by the time the new stadium's finished, you know, if I'm lucky enough to still be playing this sport and the Vikings still want me, I can't wait because the building they're putting up at the site of the old Metrodome is going to be amazing.
So, John, do you go bare arms to be tough? It's December.
I've never worn sleeves in a game in the NFL, and I at 100% unequivocally never will. I'll never wear sleeves. I don't care.
Let's go, gentlemen in the 49ers.
I wanted to ask, when did you guys specialise in the positions you were in? Was it in college or before college? And how much mixing around in the lines were you doing before then?
Well, for me, I would start with high school. I was the punter. I was the fullback. I was the linebacker. I was the DN. So once I got to college, I was recruited as a fullback. My freshman year, sophomore year, they turned me into a DN. And junior and senior year, I was a D tackle. So as my career went along, I continued to change position, and I found myself being a D tackle.
And you've seen some, just to comment on that, you've seen some incredibly successful three techniques, especially like Jonathan, who have done it. Henry Melton's the same way.
Yeah.
He went to UT he went to the University of Texas as a running back, then transitions to D tackle. He's one of the best D tackles in the NFL. So personally, I started playing center in 4th grade. I think that makes sense. I wanted to be a corner. I was a big Ron Wilson fan, but that wasn't in the cards for me. I was built differently than most cornerbacks. So I played center, and then when I was 13 in 8th grade, I was 270 pounds, so I wasn't allowed to play football. And then I picked it back up again in 9th grade and played center that year. And then I played left tackle for a year as a sophomore, and then I've been a center since. And I've never played a snap in another position in college or the NFL.
Wembley Stadium. Chilling with the Brits. Shout out to the Queen. We bringing American football to money. Let's give them a show. Hey, another Sunday, another time to do what we do. We got a chance today to show who we are in front of the world. We show all the country. Everything you got. Who is that? Who is that? Hello, yeah.
This building has an Olympic quality to the NFL overseas. That's it. Starts up to the right to the 40, and Adrian's inside the 30, to the 20, 10, touchdown!
I like one play drive. Let's keep going now.
Ball slipped out of the Giants. That's a fumble. It looked like the Marx Brothers came to Wembley Stadium. And it's a touchdown for the New York Giants.
Way to go,
A real heavy.
Don't stop, don't let up! He's coming. Don't let up! Let's go, man. That's 2 minutes of your life right here.
They double me in here. They played out and in on me. They jumped the safety. You know, let them play Barber outside. So they double me in the west.
Fires down the side.
Keep working your hand. Keep your shoulders square on these guys. Beat them off the ball.
Breeze looking downfield, going to throw deep into the end zone for more. Lance Moore, he's got it. What a catch! Double takes a snap. He's going to run it to the left, touch the ball, get the sideline, turn to the corner, 5, dives, and he is in. Touchdown 49ers. Kaepernick
And hit the juice. Way to go, baby. That was big time. Yeah, keep being courageous. Girl, I appreciate it.
Congratulations, first international win. First international win. Then UK. Fans came out. It's a good day. Who got it better than us? Nobody.
You're looking for how you use your hands, leverage, some of the things you're trying to do that pertain purely to the running.
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing for me is getting in my stance. Obviously what's going to happen can be dictated by down and distance.
Yeah.
Jonathan probably knows if he's lining up and it's 3rd and 12 that we're passing the ball. Unless we're backed up very far, and we're just going to run the ball and try to get some yards for a punter. So if we're in the middle of the field, you want to be as a center, you want to be in a square stance. Because you have to be able to move in any direction. The right side will generally play staggered, the left side will play staggered to the left so they can kick back on their pass set. I've got to be able to go any direction. So I'm really in an isosceles stance, and want to be able to load my weight so that I can go in any direction, pass or run block, and not give any information in the defense that I absolutely don't have to give. I want Jonathan to know as little as possible before I snap the ball.
Just on that, if you don't think offensive linemen are smart, he's in an isosceles stance. That's fantastic. We don't know what it is, but it sounds great.
I can't.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I grew up in Chatham. I have no chance.
Stance where he's got his fingers barely dragging on the ground. Jonathan knows he's probably pulling.
Right.
And generally, depending on our formation, he's not going to pull to the weak side edge. He's pulling across the ball. We're running a gap scheme play. You hear it called power all the time. So as soon as I try to block back, he's going to come immediately over the top. And that's why, your guards can give away your blocks, and I can do the same thing to the guards if I show pass based on my stance. So everybody's got to try to control the amount of information they share, because the more you know, and I've made my career out of doing this, I'm the same way. I want to know the answers to the test before I go out there and take it in terms of the NFL. I'm not the most talented guy athletically, so I need to use my head. And, for example, with Jonathan, if he generally plays with his inside hand down and he's tight to the center, I know he's either crossing face, depending on what it looks like on the edge, or he's going to play straight. Now, if you have a guy who's generally playing a shade technique and he starts to widen, and he starts putting his outside hand down, what do I think's happening? He's going to his hand, he's going to loop, and they're bringing pressure off the opposite side, especially if I can see safety rotation there as well. So there's a lot that you can get from just watching what guys do and getting a feel for how a defense runs things.
Let's look at the actual process of blocking a little bit. Not full.
I don't know if we can go there now.
We can get people. Do you want to do it on some people from the audience?
That would be better.
Shall we? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get a volunteer for you to show how you would block and hand placement and leverage, and then we'll get a volunteer for you to show what you're trying to do to get off. Cool. Let's have a volunteer. Anyone to volunteer? Let's have gentleman in the Bears t-shirt. Is that Bears t-shirt over there? On the end? Is that Bear? John, do you want to beat up a Bears?
Yeah, no, he looks kind of So you want to discuss?
So how you come off to.
All right. So if he was a shade, I'll
What's
put
your name,
this
sir? Did you sign the waiver?
So if I was gonna have a single drive block against Michael, I would take a step and put myself on the right angle. So we want to come off the ball at 45 and get your first step down and get your shoulders going in that direction. And that allows me to stay partially square to give the running back a read. That way he can either hit it outside, depending on the leverage I get, or he can cut it back as this defender starts to flow. So I want to take a good first step, get myself in position, and then as he comes off the ball, I want to get my second step, here, come close to me, I want to get my second step as fast as possible. And on my second step, I'm looking to make contact with my foot on the ground, my head into the defender, and my hands into the defender all at the same time. So that as I hit that second step, I come off and I go. I come off and put your head up. I don't want to hit by that.
Just stop you there 1 second. I know you might get a bit excited, but last year we had a kid who kind of challenged Harrison Smith. Yeah, Harrison put him in the third row of the audience.
But yes, that's basically what we talk about.
Yeah.
It's progression. So we'll work on just the first step alone, then we'll work on 2 steps. Then we'll go through the full progression into 3 steps and beyond. And it's all about getting the first step down, getting your second step into the ground, coming up towards the crotch of the defender, and then making contact with our triangle, which is the front of our head. We want to see what we hit, and then both hands at the same time. And then really there's always that moment of stalemate. It's about who can get lower and who can get driving better. And you know, in Minnesota, we pride ourselves on doing that well. Obviously, we run the ball. So
something that leverage is key, isn't it? You always hear lowest man wins. And what are you doing? What's the feat? I mean, is it just
you want to work? You want to make sure. Unlike Jonathan was saying that he gets on his toes a little bit. I think you said, or
Slightly off the ground.
yeah, slightly off the ground. I have to have my whole foot in the ground all the time.
Right.
And we try to drive off our insteps. So we actually roll onto the insides of our feet as we're coming off the ball, so that we can get as many of our cleats in the ground and as much power as possible going through the defender.
Nice.
As John stated, basically I get down pretty much after the center gets down, okay? In the trenches, it's all about the lowest man win. And for me, I'm not that big of a guy, so I kind of use my speed and quickness to be able to get off blocks and make plays in the backfield. So if John was coming at me, I would stalemate him with no hands. With my hands extended, I have John away from me. All right, it's all about the battle of the hands and hand placement, because wherever your hands land, you gain more control. So having your hands inside the breastplate. You are allowed to hold my breastplate. But it's all about the battle. Of course, John wants to hold on to me and grab me, but my job is to extend him and get him away from me. That way, I can share it and go to the ball. I don't want to stay on John forever, because that's not my job. My job is to initially stalemate him at the line, and then after he's stalemate, I'm going to the ball. I don't have time to play around and have fun.
Are there ever circumstances where we hear about defensive linemen who they say they're tying up blockers so the linebackers can make plays?
Yes.
Are there situations where then you don't want to be shed in that block?
No. John, if you want to step in.
Yeah. No, look, we need 2 of us.
Yeah, we need 2. Okay.
Yeah, you be the center, I'll be the left guard.
This play, what we call in the league, it's a double team. So I have 2 people on me. So the object is still to have lower leverage. Even though I have 2 people on me, I still want my hands in the breastplate to have control. I want lower leverage. Even though he's on my shoulder, now I'm about to drop my weight that way. He can't move me. I'm stalemate. I'm right here at the line, and that's how I take on the double team. Yeah, but I want to be quick. I want to be on and off this guy as fast as possible, and that's my job in order to affect the quarterback and get sacks and ultimately get off the field and third down. So it's just a quick move, staff, get out of the way.
Again, we talk about mixing it up, how
Yes,
you have to mix things up.
definitely.
So will you do things at the start of a game, or will you do things 2 or 3 times to set up something that 4th time or that 5th time?
Well, generally what I do, I'm a guy, I can generally play the whole game at a high rate and be able to produce throughout the game. So generally what I do, because I'm so small and I don't want to get locked on the guys just like he almost got me. But I'm quick. I don't want to be on this guy at all. I'm small as far as my position, but I do to the best of my ability, and that's being effective and being quick. So every now and then, I have the guy chasing me, running around. I try to wear him out, and then eventually I'll switch it up and hit him like this, and it'll totally catch him off guard. He probably just fall back on his butt, and on Mondays when we're watching film, be like, I got him. So it's all strategy. We try to mix it up. We try to make sure that our opponent is not catching on to our tendencies and what we do, just like vice versa for the offense.
All right, good job, Jonathan. Thank you.
Vikings.
Viking. That's why he got me like that.
I couldn't help himself.
Shout out to John.
All right, we're going to take some more penalties.
Basically, you have to be demonstrative if you're, there's defensive and offensive holding. There was a rule change a couple years ago where they moved the umpire. We used to stand right in the middle of the defense, they moved him back to protect him. So it's very hard for officials to see defensive holding. I think I had one defensive holding call. It was against the Bills in 2010. I remember the play. It was Kyle Williams was playing the nose, and he grabbed me on the goal line. And I could not have flopped any worse, just to make sure they knew. I was getting help. I wanted to make sure they knew, so I basically threw myself onto my back and got a holding call. We scored a touchdown on the play anyway, so all I really did was just look like a little bit of a sissy. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of penalties that are committed. I've been called for, I think I personally have been called for 3 penalties in my career, and there's not a whole lot of penalties called against me. There's a lot that's allowed to go on in the trenches. It's very hard for officials to see.
Switch thing, and you're like, why was that called last one, but it wasn't this time?
Yeah, certain guys have little tricks like that, but I don't really buy into that stuff.
Is it the defensive lineman get in trouble when you get after the Drew Breeses of the world? Because that's a fine area, isn't it? You don't have a lot of leeway in terms of when you're hitting a quarterback. You can't hit too low, you can't hit too high, you can't hit too late.
Yeah, as a defense, we try to play in the rules of how the NFL is structured to protect players and be able to hit a guy at a certain target level. We definitely don't want to hit him above the shoulder, neck area, which is 15-yard penalty easy. Or as far as a quarterback, he's a defensive player, so we can't aim at the knees anymore. So it's basically a target from the chest to the lower abdomen to where we got to aim. And everybody's moving around, so your target is moving left to right, up and down, however you want to see it. You just have to have great focus in order to not be defined or not get a point on the play.
Those are the targets Jonathan's talking about. Unless you're in damping suit, you can hit where you like. Or the whistle.
Let's take another one. Let's go, gentleman in the Adrian Peterson jersey on the end there.
Hi guys, thanks for coming out to the UK again. When a new coach is appointed to a team, do you expect everything to work perfectly from the very beginning, or is there a period of adaptation or a transition period? I'm thinking of the Vikings here, because there's new coach.
Certain things will be different. We have new personnel, obviously. We had a few coaches that were retained. Unfortunately, our offensive line coach was retained. He's a man named Jeff Davidson, and we are huge fans of his. And we pushed. We all went into Rick Spielman when the season was over and said, please retain JD. And they hadn't even picked the next head coach yet, and he said, we'll take that into consideration, and obviously they did. So there are going to be hiccups, but that's what the off season is for. We have OTAs, we've got mini camps, we have kind of the phase 1, phase 2 part during the workouts where you actually do get some on-field time to do walkthroughs. So you have to work those things out, but ultimately, we've played football for a long time, so I understand what an offensive football team is trying to accomplish. I'm sure I'll get along with Coach Turner, and the terminology may change slightly, but I understand the basic concepts of football, and the rest of the guys do too. So we should be able to move through pretty seamlessly.
Sitting in the studio. No, you guys understand.
Generally, the off season is where you really want to hit the weights hard. You're building up the strength in order to go into the season as healthy and strong as possible. Once you get into the season, it's totally different. You're basically trying to maintain your strength, but not as much as you're doing in the offseason. Of course, you want to take care of your body because your body is being beat up daily, and especially on Sunday. So, as vets, we try to take care of our bodies in the best way possible. And the strength coaches, they do look after us and make sure that, we get the necessary recovery programs after a game to get the soreness out, flush it out, and then come back later on in the week to get a good lift in and, just keep the strength up. And, that way we can go out there and battle and continue to showcase our strength and talent.
Let's take another one. Lady there in the back.
Hi there, thanks for being here. Question mainly for John. I'm from Minnesota, so speaking of TCF, how are you guys going to cope with that winter realistically? Because if you say it won't affect you, that's absolutely mad. It was colder than Mars in Minnesota this year.
The best part was actually we timed it up. My fiance and I went on vacation when it hit minus 70, so we were on a beach in the Caribbean. It was 85. And that was wild card weekend. So, you know, it really is mind over matter. If we were going to truly be put in harm's way, the NFL would have to do something about it. But 70 below with the wind chill is just the way it's going to be. And I know it probably sounded like a bunch of hogwash before, but I'm not wearing sleeves. And
I will.